Looks like our brand new deck system for our JT Gladiator. It's finally showed up. It looks very heavy. I hope we can get it around back. Here it is, our brand new deck system, being that we have our Jeep JT Gladiator set up for overlanding. I like the idea of being able to carry a lot of stuff, although not being able to lock it up was always a concern. I didn't really want to put a deck system over it, like a tonneau cover, because we're going to be using a rooftop tent rack. So we decided that this would be the solution for us. We're going to have to take it around back, get it installed, and show you how it works. It's always nice to have an old Jeep truck like Rusty helping out our new Jeep truck get built up. It's just really awkward. Well, in addition to being heavy, not unbearably heavy, it's in this box that's kind of falling apart. I can't really get it up and in without it getting hung up underneath, so I think we're gonna have to open it up and take it out. Whew, catch my breath. Open it up and take it out in pieces. Bunch of little pieces. Thank you for supporting Decked. Lots of little pieces. Cool. So these are their cool storage boxes, and oh look, they even sent us a hat and a t-shirt. Nice. Individually, nothing is very heavy. Collectively, it's very heavy. Toolbox. All right, that might be it. Whew. All right, let's take this round back. What I love most about the all-new Jeep JT Gladiator is that it's essentially a Wrangler, only with a truck bed. And being that it's a truck, that means I can carry a whole lot more stuff with me out on the trail. Of course, unless you've got some kind of a camper shell or a locking bed deck, all the stuff that you're carrying inside is left out in the open. And if you've got a truck as built up as ours, getting to stuff packed way in the back can be a little tough to do. It's because of this we decided to get decked. After we get all this stuff installed, our Gladiator will have a badass locking drawer system that'll still have a deck on top of it so that we can carry even more stuff. As luck would have it, Deck did a great job of providing excellent instructions, and I'm confident this install will go very quickly. In fact, they give me a list of all the tools that I'll need to make this possible, so let's get this thing started. The very first step is to apply some of this tape that Deck provides onto the back corner of your truck bed. But being that we have a bed liner from Line-X, it's not necessary. So instead, we're gonna go ahead to the next step, which is to install these bed shims that Deck provides. And as you can see, they come with these adhesive backing. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab some rubbing alcohol to clean up the surface of our truck bed, just to make sure that the adhesive will adhere to it. Okay, as you can see in the instructions, they give you very specific points where you should be applying all the different sizes into the truck bed. So I'm going to go ahead and clean off these areas and then get them attached. All right, so we're going to start with the shortest ones first. There's 2 of these shims. So looking at the instructions, I'm not exactly sure where to set these other 12-inch shims. So I'm going to try to base it off of these longer ones that go on next. So I'm going to clean up this area here. These last two are supposed to be approximately 6 and almost an 1/8 inch further away from this point. I should note that our Gladiator actually came with tie-down rails, and although we did remove 2 of them in order to install this rack, there is still one on the back that I am going to remove right now just so that it doesn't get in the way of our install. Alright, so now we're going to have to figure out where the center line is up against the back of our bed and on this middle shim so that when we install the deck system we can align it properly. So let's take a measurement here real quick. It's 45 inches across, which means that we need to find our center line at 22.5. So I just used a Sharpie because I didn't want to have to put anything other than black on our bed liner. It is a little bit hard to see. Maybe a grease pencil might work out better. I may have to come back and do that. But in the meantime, I'm going to go on and move on to the next step. Using a Torx 45 bit, I'm going to go ahead and remove these little D-rings. These will not be reused, so we're going to go ahead and just set them aside. So now we're going to go ahead and grab a couple of these cab side mounting brackets and then these U-nuts. And then we're going to install them. I'm going to grab a couple of these bolts with the Torx 45 heads. And then we're going to attach these to the points where I just removed those D-rings, making sure that the U-nut is facing toward the back of the bed. Okay, so now we can take this vertical piece here and attach it to the cab side backing. You can see this is where the threads of the bolts will go through. So we'll take this, hook it on. Now we're going to grab this big bag of bolts, S1, grab 4 of these guys and install them. Now I should note that the instructions specifically note not to use power tools, but there are a lot of these bolts that need to go on and this will speed up the process. Just be very careful not to over tighten it, or if you have a clutch, set it to a lower setting. Alright, the next step is to attach what DECKED calls studs, and as you'll notice they're actually marked with an L and R, left and right, to indicate left and right or passenger and driver side. So we're going to go ahead and set this here and this over here, and then we're going to grab some more of these screws and bolts, 3 for each side, and just loosely attach the studs. As you can see, they're just loosely on. Now that we've got the studs installed, we can go ahead and grab what DECKED calls ammo cans, and we're just going to place them toward the back, basically position them just as a prop to hold things up. So we're going to grab one for each side, place it down, and then we're going to actually take the top section, the deck section of this setup, and place it up on top. Alright, so now all we're going to do is just position this so that everything fits inside. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and slip this in so that the top pieces fit in like a puzzle. Alright, so now that these top pieces are in place, we're going to go ahead and loosely secure these bolts, as you can see here, just to get everything lined up properly. This is only a temporary thing. These bolts will come back out. Now that we've got the deck and all the bolts secured to all the panels down below, we can go ahead and secure these in place. Again, we just want these to be hand tight, so be careful with your power tools. Now we're going to go ahead and remove all these bolts and take out the panels. All right, now time to get some brackets and hardware. These two mounting brackets, a couple of bolts, and two of these nuts. All right, we're going to get our bolts, slide it through the second row back. All right, now we can go ahead and install these brackets, making sure that the slots are facing out and pointing toward the back of the pickup bed. Okay, so using a 7/16 inch wrench and a 3/8 inch socket, I'm going to go ahead and secure these in place now. All right, now we can go ahead and install this thing, essentially the backbone of the deck system. Okay, so now that this thing is in here, you'll notice on the top of this piece right here, there's a notch, and there's also a notch down here. And what we're going to do is we're going to shift this thing around until it lines up to the point where we measured as being the center line. That's about it right there. You can barely see the line, but it is there. And then there's a line right here. So now that that's in place, we're going to take our ratchet with a really long extension, go ahead and secure it to the U-nut back here. Just a little loose for now so I can get the other side. Okay, time to install the ammo cans. At least according to the instruction, these points right here, these need to be closest to you, so this will definitely go somewhere in here, and this somewhere in here. But as you'll notice, once this is installed, you won't be able to access this plug. So, to be preemptive, went ahead and picked up one of these short pigtails, and I'm going to install this now, just so that we have a little bit of access. Okay, so now we still have access to our power. All right, so we're going to go ahead and grab 4 of these nylon washers, and we're going to take these bolts, go ahead and assemble them. Okay. Now we'll start with the driver's side rail. Almost forgot that I needed a couple of these flange nuts, 2 for each side. Alrighty, so now we're going to go ahead and take our bolts with the nylon washers and slip it through the C-channel and into the ammo can there. Take one of these flange nuts and thread it on loosely. One more hole right here. We're going to go ahead and repeat this on the opposite side. Once again, using a 7/16 inch wrench, 3/8 inch socket. Just going to tighten these up a little bit more, but still keep them loose. Alright, so we're going to grab some more of these guys. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Get us some more of these as well. Ta-da! Now we're going to do the same with the front end of the C-channel. So I wasn't entirely sure before we started this process whether or not we'd be able to reuse our tie-down rails, but it looks like there's more than enough room. So I'm going to go ahead and stick on this forward section rail. Obviously, if you don't have a bed rack, you can reinstall the side rails as well. So I'm going to go ahead and grab what's needed to make this happen. Getting close. There are nylon and rubber washers that are going to go on all these top bolts just to make it waterproof. So take those out for now. That's why you need these ammo cans loose, so that they can shift around until you get it positioned in. That's one. Wow, that looks really cool. All right, so now that everything is fitting in place, we can go ahead and secure these nuts and bolts. All right, now we can go ahead and secure these top panels to the center vert, is what they call it, center section, and there are basically 5 holes for each side. We're going to just use the regular bolts that they provided. And we'll go ahead and pop these in now, and then we'll use a 3/8 inch socket to secure them in place. So now we can go ahead and secure the studs and the ammo cans in place, and all of these bolts, which are 4 up front, 8 on the back, are going to require a nylon washer and a rubber washer stacked up as so, and this will basically help ensure that water doesn't get into the ammo can or the bed. So this is going to take a while. Sheesh, what a pain in the butt. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's start over here. Okay, so these J hooks are going to feed up into the ammo can and attach to these lower tie down hooks. And then place this ball up on top, place the washer here, and this nut. Okay, we're supposed to leave that on loosely for now, but we'll do the other side. All right, now we can get our drawers built or assembled so that they'll work. I think I need a couple of these brackets, a couple of these, a couple of these, and I believe this small bar. So first, insert this. Take our 2-inch bolt. Take our smaller bolts, and this is a support rod that needs to get installed. Just putting everything on loosely for now. I'm going to go ahead and assemble the opposite drawer, or the other drawer as well. Pretty much like everything on this entire deck system, we're going to go ahead and use our 7/16 inch wrench and 3/8 inch socket. Now we can go ahead and grab all the wheels and the bolts to secure them in place. We're going to use a 7/32 inch Allen bit. First of the 2 drawers going in is going to be the narrow one. It's supposed to be easier to install. I should note that the wiper edge needs to be pointing inward. I'm loving it! Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and take 4 of these bolts with the nylon washers and get them assembled. And then with the, we're going to find the 2 1/2-inch bolts, really short ones that come in the final finish bag. And of course the decked center plate that comes complete with a bottle opener. So what we're going to do first is take this torsion bar and take these 1/2-inch bolts first. I'll secure these guys in place. Again, just loosely. We're going to go to the end pieces. Now we can tighten everything up. Right on. Alright, so now we can go ahead and tighten up the J-hook bolts that we didn't tighten up earlier. I'm pretty sure these are 7/16. Yeah. So using a long, deep socket, 7/16 inch socket, go ahead and tighten up these J-hook bolts. The ammo can covers can now go on. Alright, time for the final pieces. Deck provides this really cool stainless steel trim piece that goes on, like you can see right here. So, we have two different sets of screws. These short ones will actually go in these three holes right here, and these longer ones that you see here, we'll have to drill some holes. The instructions call for a 9/64 drill bit with the drill stop. I don't have one, so I just put on a piece of blue tape at 1/2 inch. That's how deep you're supposed to drill, and that's where I'll stop. So I'm going to center this as good as I can based on these embossed holes, and then we're going to take this, the short screw. I'm going to go ahead and screw this in place. Okay, next, safety first. Alright, so as a final step, we've got these plugs provided by DECKED. They would go into these holes right here. But if you have a set of locks like we actually opted to get, you can install those as well. But really, I don't know how necessary they are, because once you lock your tailgate with your key fob, you shouldn't be able to get into these drawers anyway. Alright, we have the deck system completely installed. Everything is functional, looking good. Love this thing. This is awesome. It's a great addition to our truck. Gives us a means to store things, lock it up, and be able to access things all the way to the back of our truck with ease. Basically, you just reach in and grab and go. But what would really make it helpful is to have some dividers, and that's what these guys are for. So as you can see, they come with two different sizes. I should note that these are optional, but you can see how they would just go into place like you see here. Even if you want one for the back. That way you can have things separated as you need. And then, this one you can see, same deal. But to make it really cool, we also opted to get these optional boxes. I believe this is called a D box, and you can see the shape of it. It's like the letter D. And a toolbox, or a cross box as they call it. These boxes are made specifically to fit inside, as you can see. Nice and secure. You close it, they won't slosh around. They fill in the drawers perfectly. Same thing with this big one. Pop it in. So I'll be loading up all these boxes with most of our gear, and whatever I can't fit in here, I'll actually put items in the back as well. And I think we're ready for the JT experience.